All right, Operation 265 deadlift day. We're going to start out with some belt squats, 2 sets of 8 with 515. Now, this is my last workout before my deload week. So I deload every fourth week right now. Deload week being I take things a little bit lighter, I help my body promote recovery. But this is the last heavy and intense session. We start off with some belt squats. My lower, actually it's more my mid-back has been irritating me this week with all the heavy weight. So belt squats are nice just because they're not really putting the load on my spine and allowing me just to put the load on my legs. They're not the best thing for leg hypertrophy, so to say, but they're great for resembling your typical low bar squat, which is what I'm going for here and what my coach has programmed, right? All these sets felt great, felt really good. I'm not a huge fan of this belt squat, but this is what the one they have at the gym. As far as my physique goes, I'm weighing in consistently between 252 and 255. Overall, I would say my weight has stayed the same, but I feel like I've been getting leaner. So I'm kind of staying the same and getting a good body recomposition. Then we move on to some sumo deadlifts. Now this day, like I said, my mid-back had been irritating me all week, and it was from going a little too heavy the week prior. I went too heavy. I did not stick to the RPE. I went for basically an RPE 10 pull. It was not my intention. I truly thought when I was going to pull 705, it was going to be around an RPE 9. If I got 2 reps, I went for a third, ended up being like an RPE 11, and I definitely irritated my lower back because after that, I did some more deadlifts, heavy rows, and then I went to Muay Thai practice later. So because of all that activity, my mid-back kind of flared up. So going into this workout, I was really concerned with how everything was going to feel, how everything was going to move, but it ended up moving just fine. Even the sumo deadlifts moved just fine. And sometimes there is a blessing in disguise with irritations, right? I don't like to call them injuries, but they're more like irritations. What it really forced me to do this week was really work on my brace and really work on my upper body positioning with my deadlift to allow me to create a lot of tension at the bottom and make sure I'm putting that load in my hips, in my legs, and not as much in my back. So I was very happy with my 3 sets of 3 with 600 here. For those of you wondering, the tape around my knee, I just have a little bit of patellar tendonitis, and taping up my knee like that for lower body days, it feels good. So that's why I do it. Very nice. With the sumo deadlift, the biggest thing I learned, with your conventional deadlift, you don't have to do this as much. You don't really have to spread the floor as much because your feet are closer together. All you're worried about is pushing down straight into the ground. With the sumo deadlift, in order for your hips, you don't want your knees to collapse in. If your knees collapse in, it just turns into a wide stance conventional deadlift, which is obviously not, it's not an optimal way of lifting weights. So with the sumo deadlift, what's really important is that you're rooting into the ground, you're spreading the floor apart. With the deadlift, and most people, they don't necessarily think about it this way, but this is what it is. The deadlift is not just picking the bar up. You're trying to drive your hips to the bar you're trying to get your hips to the bar as fast as possible, right? You want those hips to the bar as close as you can get them. The sumo deadlifts allow you to do that, along with reducing the range of motion at the beginning of the lift, but it still applies even with your conventional deadlift, is that you're driving those hips to that bar as quickly as you can, okay? And you can see this when people deadlift incorrectly and they're not very efficient at doing it, and they bring the bar out and they're not driving the hips forward, they're not keeping the bar close to them. It's going to make it a lot more difficult and put a lot more tension on the lower back instead of the glutes and the hamstrings that we're trying to do. Now, I've said this in the past, I'm going to say it again. The sumo deadlift is great for moving a lot of weight. If the sumo deadlift is your style of deadlifting, it's great for moving a lot of weight. If that's what you want to do as a powerlifter, go ahead and do it. But your conventional deadlift is much better for putting on muscle mass. It's a great exercise to move a lot of weight, but you're going through a larger range of motion, and you're lifting in a way that's really putting the tension on the glutes and the hamstrings a bit more. Right? Your sumo deadlift is a little bit more of a squat than a true hinge like your conventional deadlift. So if you are a sumo deadlifter, make sure there's plenty of conventional deadlifting within your training regimen. It doesn't have to be every single week or every single block, but in the off season, what I would recommend doing is building up that conventional deadlift, because that's going to build that raw strength. And then you take the raw strength you get from the conventional deadlift and you learn how to use it with the technique of your sumo deadlift. All right, here. Loading up for, this is 5, crap, forgot what it was, 5:45. Now I realize I don't need my straps. I can just alternate grip it. The sumo deadlift, it feels better if you do a hook grip or you use straps. But with a conventional deadlift, an alternating grip is just fine. You're not going to notice so much of a twisting. With sumo deadlift, if you do an alternating grip, sometimes you can notice a bit of twisting at the top. Conventional, you don't get that. Alternating grip is just fine. As long as you keep those arms straight, you're going to protect that bicep. Then we're moving on to some Heiss calf raise shrug, calf raise machine shrug. Really liking this exercise. And you can see how thick and big my back is. I really enjoy training back. I really like the look of a big, strong back. I think that is probably one of the most important aesthetically. I think that's one of the most important aesthetic points on a guy, is to have a big, strong back. I'm not sure, obviously. I'm not too into the bodybuilding sphere, but I would assume if you have a big, strong back, there's other points of your body is going to look very good. You know, some people can have larger chests, maybe some large arms, but if they don't have a big back, they probably don't have their physique as a whole is probably not going to look great. Anyways, if you haven't given those exercises a try, if you haven't given that exercise a try, definitely try it out. Chest supported T-bar row, 250 for 5. Now this was programmed for a prison style T-bar row, or basically, not chest supported. And because, as I said earlier, my mid back was bothering me, I knew I was going to do chest supported for this workout. Still glad I got up to 250. I felt like the reps were pretty good, pretty controlled. I am trying to produce power and focus on strength here. So although the exercises need to be in control and the tension needs to be placed on the muscle, and we're really focused on the muscle getting stronger, a slight body English is not going to be the end of the world. Now, if I'm doing it and I'm just using all my low back and I'm not using any lats, any mid back with my row, then we have a problem here. I did 250 for 2 sets. I bumped it down to 225 just so I could get a little bit more, conscious with my technique, a little bit more of that mind-muscle connection. Last set here until the end of the video. Anyways, I want to say thank you for watching, guys. Please subscribe, comment, like. If you have any suggestion or anything that you want to see as far as my training goes, how I train my clients, my philosophy, anything like that, please leave a comment down below. Subscribe and check out my website if you have not already. Have a good one.